Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the podcast where we take big, complex topics, sort of unpack them, and pull out the most important bits for now. Today, we're diving into a real classic. It was written decades ago, but wow, does it feel relevant now? George Orwell's 1984.
Yeah, it's chillingly relevant. And for this deep dive, we're actually leaning heavily on excerpts from the novel itself. So we can really explore, the nuts and bolts of this dystopian world straight from Orwell's descriptions.
Right.
Our mission really is to get under the hood of the control mechanisms in Oceania. What do they tell us about power, about truth, and maybe about human nature itself?
It's definitely a deep dive into psychological warfare waged by a state.
Exactly.
And, right from page 1, 1984 just throws you into this world of pervasive gloom, oppressive, really. We meet Winston Smith living in Victory Mansions, which is ironic, right?
Really ironic.
The place smells like boiled cabbage, the elevator's broken, there are power cuts because of hate week.
Yeah, it paints a picture immediately. Misery.
But the real gut punch, the thing that gives you that immediate sense of dread, it's those Big Brother is watching you posters everywhere. And the eyes are designed to follow you. Imagine that feeling, just walking around.
Oh, it's incredibly unnerving. And what's really striking is the sheer scale of it all and how intimate the surveillance is. It's not just the posters, which are scary enough, or even the police helicopters snooping in windows.
Right.
It's the telescreens. Orwell describes them as this oblong metal plaque. And they're in every home, every public space. And these things, they're constantly blasting propaganda, but worse, they're listening to everything.
Everything.
Every whisper. You can dim it, apparently, but there's no way of shutting it out completely.
Wow.
So this isn't just like public square cameras. This is total penetration of your private life.
Yeah.
There's no escape.
Yeah.
Not even at home.
So, okay, this isn't just about watching people then. It's deeper, more insidious. It's about controlling thoughts, right? Their inner world. And the party lays out its core ideas in those 3 really shocking slogans you see on the Ministry of Truth. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength.
Yeah.
These aren't just clever paradoxes. They feel like the absolute foundation for dismantling logic itself.
They are. And it's not random, that constant bombardment of contradictions. It's a deliberate psychological tactic. Which brings us right to Orwell's concept of doublethink. It's a word from Newspeak, the official language.
Okay, doublethink.
These slogans, they completely contradict each other, but they're presented as absolute truth. You have to accept them. And the genius, or maybe the horror of it, is forcing people to hold both the obvious contradiction and the party's version in their mind at the same time.
How does that even work?
Well, look at the ministries themselves. They embody it, right? The Ministry of Truth actually deals in lies, rewriting history.
Right. And peace handles war.
Love is about torture and breaking people. Plenty oversees scarcity and rationing.
It's a total reversal of reality.
Exactly. It's calculated, systematic, designed to keep minds in this state of controlled insanity where facts just don't matter anymore.
And the Ministry of Love. That's the one with no windows. Orwell calls it the really frightening one.
Yeah, because it represents the final erasure of, the individual, your own will.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How do you make people accept these blatant contradictions? How do you break a mind like that?
It's a huge question. And the party's main strategy involves twisting reality, especially the past.
Controlling the past.
Yeah, because if you control what people believe happened, you control how they see the present and the future. They don't just reinterpret history. They erase it and write a new one.
And this is where Winston's job. It's terrifying when you realize what he's doing. In the records department, he's literally implementing this mutability of the past. He's not just editing typos. He's fabricating news stories. He makes people into unpersons.
Like Comrade Withers.
Right. Imagine that. Not just executed, but poof. Every record, every photo, every mention of your name, gone. Like you never existed.
It's complete annihilation from history.
We even see Winston, he briefly holds this photo, actual proof that these guys Jones, Aronson, and Rutherford, who were executed as traitors, were innocent.
Yeah, crucial moment.
But what does he do? He destroys it. It crumbles into ashes. No trace left.
Gone.
So that party slogan, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. That's not just talk. It's how they operate.
It's their operational policy. Absolutely.
It makes resistance feel almost impossible if they can just erase you from existence.
Exactly. And this constant rewriting, this shifting reality, it leads right back to doublethink. Orwell defines it as the ability to hold simultaneously two opinions which canceled out, knowing them to be contradictory and believing in both of them.
Knowing they contradict, but believing both.
Yes. And then consciously inducing unconsciousness, basically forgetting you ever knew it was a lie.
Well,
Think about that. It's not just believing a lie. It's knowing it's a lie, believing it anyway, and then forgetting you knew.
that's deeply unsettling.
It is. The system uses your own mind's flexibility against you, turns that internal conflict into control. It just erodes your ability to see objective truth.
And then on top of that, there's Newspeak. This is where it gets really insidious, I think, because it attacks thought at its root, language.
Right. Winston's colleague, Syme, he's working on the Newspeak dictionary.
The enthusiastic one.
Yeah, him. And he explains the whole aim is to narrow the range of thought. Just shrink the world of ideas by cutting out words.
And he says that chilling line.
In the end, we shall make thought crime literally impossible because there will be no words in which to express it.
No words for rebellion means no rebellion.
Think about how precise that is. It's not just censorship like banning books. It's preemptive. They get rid of words like good, replace it with ungood, or take a word like free. In Newspeak, you can say, this dog is free from lice. But the concept of being intellectually free or politically free, that meaning is gone, stripped away.
So they're removing the tools you need to even form a rebellious thought.
Exactly. It's genius in a horrible way. You don't need constant surveillance if people literally cannot think heterodox thoughts. The language itself becomes a cage for the mind.
So orthodoxy is unconsciousness, that means.
It means you reach a state where you don't even need to think.
Yeah.
You just accept automatically because the language limits you. Dissent becomes, well, unimaginable, nameless.
It's like a linguistic lobotomy.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Making thought crime not just punishable, but impossible.
It feels like they've found a way to just hardwire obedience into people. But the party's control, it goes even deeper than language and thought, doesn't it? It goes after basic human nature, instincts, desires.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
They target fundamental instincts, especially things like love, desire, family bonds.
Check says rebellion.
Right. The sexual act itself is seen as rebellion. Natural human desire was thought crime.
And Winston's wife, Catherine.
Yeah, she called sex their duty to the party. Just clinical. Procreation for the state. No passion. No connection.
So they're trying to kill real human connection.
And redirect all that emotional energy, all loyalty towards Big Brother. Even kids, the junior spies, are taught to report their parents.
Yeah.
It breaks down the family as a potential pocket of resistance.
Which leads to this really weird contrast in the book. The party members are under this insane, suffocating control.
Yeah.
But the proles, the working class, they seem almost ignored, left alone.
Relatively speaking, yes. It's a fascinating aspect. The party doesn't really bother indoctrinating them in the same way.
Why not?
Because they see them as natural inferiors, basically beneath suspicion. Animals, almost.
So they let them have their distractions.
Exactly. Films, football, beer, and above all, gambling. Keep them busy with trivial stuff. There's that chilling line. Proles and animals are free.
Meaning their freedom is meaningless because they don't have the capacity to challenge the system?
That's the party's belief. The masses never revolt of their own accord. They figure any discontent the proles have will just be about petty specific grievances, not the big picture.
So things like the lottery.
Which has mostly imaginary prizes, right?
Yeah.
It's enough. Orwell calls it their delight, their folly, their anodyne, their intellectual stimulant.
Just enough bread and circuses, basically.
Pretty much. Give them managed apathy, keep them distracted, and they won't realize their own potential power.
And it's against this backdrop, this total system of control, that Winston starts his own small acts of rebellion.
Which seemed tiny at first.
Yeah, really personal. Secretly writing in a diary, buying that glass paperweight from the antique shop.
Because anything old or beautiful is vaguely suspect.
Yeah.
It connects you to a past the party wants erased.
Right, and he holds on to that idea. Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4. Just basic, objective truth.
And his relationship with Julia, finding that room above the shop with no telescreen.
Yeah, that feels like a desperate grab for privacy, for real human connection. A space where truth isn't dictated by the party.
He even dreams about a past where truth exists and what is done cannot be undone.
These small acts feel huge in that context. They're a direct challenge, even if quiet, to everything the party stands for.
But if they're constantly rewriting history and using doublethink, I mean, does anyone, even in the party, actually remember what the original truth was. Doesn't that create some instability?
That's a really interesting point. It feels like it should, but the system seems designed to handle that too. Which brings us, inevitably, to the Ministry of Love.
Right, the end point.
Winston's arrest, his torture. It shows the party doesn't just want you to follow orders. They want complete uniformity of opinion. They want inside your head.
And O'Brien's explanation of their methods in there,
Mm.
it's just bone-chilling.
Yeah.
He says, unlike old tyrants who made martyrs, people whose ideas might live on the party wants to completely convert its enemies.
Convert them.
Yeah. Capture his inner mind, reshape them. They burn all evil and all illusion out of him.
Yeah.
Brian tells Winston, we do not merely destroy our enemies, we change them. They make the brain perfect before they blow it out.
So the confessions, they're true because the person actually believes them by then.
Exactly. Absolutely. Sincerely believes them. The goal isn't just punishment. It's making you love Big Brother. Truly.
And that's the purpose of Room 101.
Mm-hmm. The final step, where you face your absolute worst fear, your deepest phobia.
For Winston, it's rats.
And that terror is used to break the final thing connecting him to his old self, his loyalty to Julia.
He screams for them to do it to her instead.
Yeah. And that confirms O'Brien's point.
Yeah.
You want it to happen to the other person. All you care about is yourself. It shatters his humanity, his ability to love or be loyal to anyone but the party.
So it's not just breaking his body or mind, it's breaking his spirit.
Absolutely. That's the ultimate victory for the party. Not just forcing compliance, but conquering the inner self completely.
And Winston's state after he leaves the ministry. He's fattened up, he accepts everything.
He traces 2 + 2 = 5 in the dust.
And that final awful line, he loved Big Brother.
It's devastating. Shows the total success of their methods, even the chess problem he contemplates. White always mates. It symbolizes the party's inevitable, unchanging victory.
They don't just win, they rewrite reality so they've always won and always will.
Yeah.
So wrapping up this deep dive, 1984 lays out this incredibly detailed world. Surveillance, psychological manipulation, total control over truth, history, even feelings.
It's just a brutal reminder of how reality can be twisted when power isn't checked, and maybe how much we need to question things.
Definitely. The novel really makes you think about how fragile truth can be and how vital critical thinking is, especially now, with information being constantly reshaped around us.
It really forces you to ask, what is real freedom? If it's not the freedom to think for yourself, to hold on to your own reality, even when it's unpopular, what is it?
So, the thought to leave you with, think about how strongly you hold on to your own sense of reality. If the party could make Winston believe 2 + 2 = 5, what assumptions might we be accepting in our own lives without really questioning them, just because we hear them repeated or because maybe it's just easier not to challenge?
Definitely something to mull over.
Yeah. Something to think about until our next deep dive.